Okay, thank you. Good afternoon and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment hearings for Suburban Panel 2. We are a City of Ottawa quasi-judicial tribunal that holds public hearings to consider Planning Act applications, including minor variances to the zoning requirements and consent to sever land. Our hearings are now in person at Ben Franklin Place, 101 Centrepoint Drive. We also enable remote participation by video conferencing for our registered speakers. We are live streaming on YouTube, and the video will be archived and available for future viewing by the public. My name is Fabien Poulin. I'll be chairing today's hearings, and you can address me by my name or as chair. And with me are my fellow panel members, George Barrett, Heather McLean, and Julianne Wright. The procedure for the hearings will be as follows. Listed on the agenda and appearing on the screen from time to time are the applications we'll hear today. For the sake of efficiency, I may deal with agenda items in a different order. Panel members have reviewed the planning reports and any written submissions in support or opposition to each of the applications. Today, we'll hear any oral submissions relating to the applications. As part of the statutory public notification requirements, each applicant was required to post a sign on the property in question before the hearing. They also had to confirm in writing that they did so, or they'll need to swear or affirm an oath today that they've fulfilled the sign posting requirements. Otherwise, we may have to adjourn or postpone the hearing. The panel may ask for a brief presentation of an application followed by questions for the applicant and city planning staff. We will then hear from members of the public who have registered to speak, and we may also have questions for them. Finally, the applicant, who has the burden of proof, will have an opportunity to make final comments and reply. Please address your comments to me as the chair, starting with your name and spelling it if necessary, and your municipal address for the record. All presentations are limited to 5 minutes. Any exceptions will be at my discretion. At the end of the hearing, the panel may either make an oral decision or we may reserve our decision, which means it won't be delivered today. In either case, and within 10 days, the Committee of Adjustment will send the official written decision and reasons for it to all the parties, participants, and anyone else who has requested a copy. Does anyone have any questions about the procedure we'll be following today? So there's a sign that gets posted on the property describing that there is a Committee of Adjustment hearing on this date, and there's probably a person that you can contact for further information. Nope, on the property itself. Okay, we have several applications to hear today, but we first need to deal with some preliminary and procedural matters. Are there any declarations of interest from any panel members?
No.
No declarations of interest. And we don't have any confirmation of minutes. We now move to the potential adjournment requests. We have 2 adjournment requests. One having to do with 1435 and 1451 Bell Court. G. Amos. Is G. Amos online?
Yes, Mr. Chair, they're joining now.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome. We have an adjournment request. Sine die. Are you in agreement with that request?
Yes, we are. Thank you very much.
Okay, I'd like to ask the panel then if they would like to adjourn this application sine die. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application has been adjourned sine die. Thank you very much, Ms. Amos.
Thank you very much. Have a lovely day.
Thank you. Next application up for adjournment is 60 Larkspur. And I'm looking for Emily Tierney.
Mr. Chair, she indicated she won't be attending today, but is agreeable to sine die.
Okay. Panel, I'd like to ask you if you are in agreement to adjourn this application sine die. All those in favor? This application has been adjourned sine die. Thank you. Next, we have unopposed agenda of applications that that meet these following requirements. There are no objections or concerns from the parties, that is the applicant, the city, or the public. There are no amendments required. There are no registered speakers. The sign posting declaration has been received. The applicant or the agent has confirmed that they agree with all the requested conditions, if there are any, and there are no questions from panelists. Therefore, the following, I'll go one by one, the following applications meet this criteria. Item number 2, SMIC 6 Smugglers. I'd like to ask the panel if they approve of this application. All those in favor? This application is approved. Next application is item 3, having to do with 1385 McMahon. And this one, I'd like to ask the panel if they agree with this application being approved. All those in favor?
It's not on our list.
Sorry, my apologies. 1, 3, you're right, it's not on there, sorry. I have it. So move to number 5, excuse me. This has to do with 1781 Queensdale Avenue. All those in favor of approval? This application is approved. 5. Item 6 has to do with 116 Meadowlands Drive. Does the panel approve of this application? That application has been approved. Next application up for approval is item number 9, 4000 Riverside Drive. All those in favor of approval, please raise your hands. Application is approved. Next application is item 10, 587 Sherbourne. Okay. Excuse me?
The sign wasn't posted.
Okay, gotcha.
Like we can put this right here to you, okay? Just give your name.
Judy Gerling of 677 Roanwood, which is 587's right on the corner. I'm on Roanwood, first house around the corner. I just got this in the mail. That's the only notice I had. Nothing's posted on the property. And the other thing is, I was hoping you give the site plan, that's fine, but you don't tell the elevation of the back deck being put on it, where the windows are. My family room window is right there. I want to know what's the elevation of the deck, and are they going to stare right into my family room window? Is why I wanted to see the blueprints.
Can we confirm that the sign posting declaration was received?
Mr. Chair, it was received from the agent.
Okay.
Can I suggest stepping this back into regular order and we can hear the item as it comes?
Yes, we'll do that. Good suggestion. Thank you. So we're going to put this back and we'll deal with it in order and we'll hear the applicant.
Fine, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, hon.
All right. So now we'll move on. Now we'll move on to hearing the applications in order, beginning with application number 1, having to do with 1231 Ridgemont. And I'm looking for Mohammed Joudet. And I believe they will be remote. Do we have Mohammed Joudet?
Yes, he's online now, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, good day.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Can hardly hear you. Still can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Why
Yep,
won't-
now we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Sound great.
Thank you very much.
No problem. Thank you.
Would you like to give us a brief description of your application today, sir?
I do have a brief presentation that was submitted yesterday. If that. All right, perfect. Okay, so municipal address is 1231 Ridgemont Avenue. We're proposing a semi-detached on this particular lot. We are looking for 2 minor variances, lot width and lot area. Both has require the same lot width, lot area. So the lot width that's being requested is 7.61, where the zoning requires 9 meters. The area that's being requested is 231.3 square meters, where the zoning requires 270 square meters. Both municipal addresses require the same zoning for this particular lot. Next page, please. Next slide. Okay, so just giving you a little preview of where this property is located. Bottom right, where it says 1231, that's the subject property. It's near the intersection of Bank Street and Heron Road. So you got Heron Road right to the north, Bank Street right to your west. If you go further west, you'll see Mooney's Bay. That's the old train station. And then you also have, if you go further north, you'll see Billings Bridge. And then if you go far west, you'll see Carleton University. Just give you context of where we are in the city. Next slide, please. Okay, so this just shows this particular lot. So this particular lot is approximately 100 feet. So to give you an exact number, 30.37 meters. The width would be 15.23 meters. And then you can see that we have municipal services on the front. We have the sanitary, storm, and water all on the front there. And we're proposing a semi on this particular lot. Next slide, please. So we located a few semis in the same area, and in this application, it's actually one is right next door, and the one's right across the street. So we're looking for other semi-detaches that requested similar minor variance applications, whether they were consent to several or not. In our particular application, we're not looking for a severance application for the next door property, number 1, number 2, and then across the street, number 3 and number 4. All these applications have been submitted for minor variance application and consent applications, all of which have been approved and built within the last few years. Next slide, please. Okay, so I'm just going to be talking very briefly. So lot area, so the current lot is 15.23 by 30.37 meters. We're proposing 2 semi-detaches. Zoning is R2F. Minor variance requested is 7.61 is a lot width, lot area 231. The zoning requires 9 meters as a frontage and 270 as a lot area. The density is 1 unit per 231 square meters. And this is kind of what we're going to be comparing to other properties. Next slide, please. So subject 1 to 4, 1225, 1227, those are their neighboring properties. If you look at so you got the current lot sizes, the zoning is the same and the density is identical. If you go down to property 3 and property 4, different addresses, they're across the street. But if you look at the density, it's more or less very similar to what we're proposing to build in this particular lot. Next slide, please. Okay, so in regards to the density, property number 0, the subject property, is 1 unit per 231. That kind of explains a lot width and lot area of our particular property. In comparison to the other 4 properties in the same street, the density is almost identical, if not very similar. Next slide, please. Just to touch briefly about the tests. And I have them here, so I can just read them off. Okay, so test number 1, this is maintain the general intent of the purpose of the official plan. So it does maintain the general intent of the purpose of the bylaw. The proposal makes efficient use of the separate land in the proposed area. It creates 2 dwelling units. We believe this application should be approved as it fulfills the goal on the official plan, and the city would add urban densification while location supports many of the city public transit initiatives. Test number 2, does it maintain the general intent of the zoning bylaw? The acceptance of these variances would allow the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw to be maintained and to be compatible with the existing land use pattern of the neighborhood. Test number 3, is it desirable for the appropriate development and use of this land? This land is ready for development as the current building isn't to spare. We believe this property would fill the potential of this location. The design of this building appears to have more green space in the front area while limits the pavement area. So in regards to that, we can touch about that later. Is this minor variance? Minor. So we're asking for 2 minor variances, both of which are compatible with existing zoning and existing fabric of the neighborhood. We do believe that these variances are minor and that they do fit into the neighborhood. That is all.
Thank you very much, sir. like to ask the panel if they have any questions for the applicant. Mr. Barrett?
Yes, through you, Mr. Chair, a question with regards to the dwellings you're talking about. Are there accessory uses or dwellings on these units?
So at this moment, this particular property, 1231, 1229 Ridgemont is owned by two couples, two separate couples, I should say. We haven't applied for any building permit yet. This is step one. Step one would be to get approval. Once we get approval, then we would submit for building permits. At this point, with their architect, I haven't been into those meetings yet. I understand they are working on some designs. I think one of the drafts may be to put in a secondary dwelling unit in the basement, but I'm not familiar whether that's actually concrete or going to happen. Again, they can't finalize any drawings until we actually do get approval. If this doesn't get approval, then we can't submit for a semi-detached, regardless if they were to build a secondary dwelling or accessory unit in the basement or not.
Thank you.
Ms. Wright?
Yeah, just through you, Mr. Chair, to go a little bit further into my colleagues' comments. It perhaps was the Collins Street application, but I believe Committee of Adjustment staff told us that the application itself stated that there were to be two secondary dwelling units, but I note that the cover letter didn't mention it at all. So it's just difficult to not know exactly what is going to be proposed. I guess my second question that I have has to do, I did find the elevations, and this also goes for the Collins Avenue property, to be slightly misleading because the rear elevation clearly shows a rear door with a landing and some steps. But the side elevations do not, and there's also no indication on the site plan of a rear door and steps. Door might not have to be shown, but there's certainly no indication of steps, but on the rear elevation, it shows it. And if there are to be secondary dwelling units, I'm wondering, are they to be accessed from the rear? Is that the purpose of the rear door on the rear elevation? And I know I'm going on a little bit further. The site plan doesn't show any kind of walkway to the back, if that is indeed where the entrance to a potential secondary dwelling unit would be. So maybe you could just clarify what's happening with the plans and the elevations and why they're not
Sure.
quite developed to the
Sure.
extent of showing everything we'd like them to.
Absolutely, absolutely. So what I've been informed is that the main door from the front and the back are both. So my understanding is that the couple wants to use the main floor and the second floor as their principal dwelling unit, and that both of those are to be used by the family. And both sides, both couples have at least two kids. That's my understanding, is that they want to use the main floor and the second floor to there. I believe the only discussion was whether they were to add a secondary dwelling unit into the basement or not. My understanding is that the plans that were submitted do not include the door to the basement, because at this point that isn't the plan. But they're also looking at, number one, getting approval, number two, getting costing for construction, whether or not they can, not need the secondary dwelling unit for the rental income portion of it. My understanding is that they may include it, they may not include it, and that's a decision they would have to make before they apply for building permit, at which they're not there yet. Nor have they incurred the cost of completing the drawings, because they didn't want to spend the money to finalize the architectural drawings until they made sure that this was approved as a semi-detached, because if not, then the whole plan kind of changes.
Okay. Whoops, sorry. Okay. And my last question has to do with your cover letter states that the development creates an increased green space. Can you elaborate on that and just explain or illustrate to me how, from a single detached home, this is going to provide increased green space?
Absolutely. So that statement was in regards to the different semi-detached options. So we weren't comparing it to the existing we're comparing it to, if we're building a traditional semi-detached, any semi-detached, you usually find two garages, two driveways in the middle. So the closer you put your driveways into, the center of the property, the less green space you have for the front yard. So the cover letter doesn't, and again, it should have been worded a little bit more clearly, but it's in specific in regards to pushing out pushing out the driveways towards the end of the edges of the driveway or the property, allows for more green space in the middle, and not to compare it to the existing dwelling that's there now.
Okay. And then my final one, no, that's fine. I don't need it at this point.
Okay.
That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Ms. McLean, do you have any questions? Okay, question I have, we've got, and I've got to ask you this to the applicant. Essentially, the community in this neighborhood has expressed some concerns in the past of these types of redevelopment or being used as rooming houses. Are you sure and you're certain that you're not going, because I don't think it is, a rooming house is not a permitted zone. Is that correct?
It is not permitted on local residential rights of ways. It's located, it is permitted along arterials and collectors such as Bank Street, Heron Road,
Okay,
but not
not on private, like neighborhoods like this.
correct.
So you're aware of that, sir, Mr. Jude?
That is correct. Yes,
Perfect.
we're aware of that.
Okay, that's great. Thanks. Okay, now I'd like to ask the planning staff if they've got some comments to make about this application.
Through you, Mr. Chair, no further comments.
Okay. Does panel have any questions for planning? Is right?
Yeah, just to go back to the idea of the rooming house, because I've read the letters from the neighbors and I imagine we're going to hear from them later. I understand that a rooming house is not permitted in this zone. Can you perhaps elaborate on what technically defines a rooming house and why an application such as this, that we are unaware of how many bedrooms or anything else in it, why it would not be defined as a rooming house?
Mr. Jude?
Sorry, is that a question for me, or is that just to the?
No, it's for
Oh, for
planning.
planning,
It was for
right.
Oh,
planning.
okay.
My understanding is that a rooming house would have more than typical 2 to 3 bedroom units with a main kitchen and plumbing, a bathroom or 2.
Okay, so not knowing the number of bedrooms in this, we have no idea whether this is going to be a rooming house or not. And we just basically have to rely on it's later on during the building permit process that it doesn't come up and meet the standards that you just mentioned, I guess.
When they are seeking their building permits at Building Code Services, they will be making a reapplication with the elevations as well as the site plan. And it will indicate at that time, because they have to meet building code provisions or standards, that they will have to outline the number of units, bedroom units, that are per residential unit defined. So in this case, they have an allowance of 1 semi-detached unit either side of the same lot and an additional dwelling unit that is permitted as of right. So that's a total of 4 residential units that could be permitted at the site. If they choose to have 3 bedrooms per residential dwelling unit, that would be a maximum of 12 dwelling units, not dwelling units, pardon me, rooming units. And that does not qualify.
You mean it would then turn into a rooming house? Is that what you mean when by not qualify? What exactly?
Because under building permits, they would see the 3 bedroom status of each dwelling unit.
Okay.
And then they would run the checks on it and make sure that it is one dwelling unit.
Okay. Okay, does the definition of a household come into this at all? No?
No.
Okay, okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions for planning? Okay, Ms. McLean? Okay, no further questions from panel. All right, next we'd like to ask the,
Mr. Chair, Erin O'Connell is online with her hand up. Maybe he
okay,
has something to add.
she was there and then she went and she's back. Okay, Ms. O'Connell.
Apologies, Mr. Chair. I just want to make sure that the committee has the information before them. The rooming house definition does include the residential premises not intended for use by a household. And so that's where it does get a little gray in terms of what is a household and how it's functioning. But essentially, when we're looking at how the difference between a dwelling unit and a rooming unit, it's whether they're often rented independently. So rooming houses would operate, they would have common areas for them, but each of the rooms in the houses is functioning independently from a perspective of a household. And so if it's not functioning as a household, and then we have these rooming units that are included in a rooming house, that means a room or a suite of rooms, but has separate independent residential occupancy. And that's what I sort of mean by the rental. It's not self-contained, and it does require access to other parts of the unit to serve the residents. And so if there is some concerns from the residents, as my colleague explained, at the building permit application, our zoning plans examiner would be looking at the plans to ensure that what's submitted for the building permit doesn't constitute a rooming house, which isn't permitted here. But if there is concern from the residents that this is occupying or operating as a rooming house, or if there's other ones in the area, the residents could call 311 and have an inspector come to the premises and confirm that the zoning is operating as it's permitted in that zone.
Okay, thank you for that.
Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions? No. Ms. McLean? Okay, no further questions for planning. I'd now like to move to the public and see if the public would like to make some comments about this application. We have three persons that have registered to speak. The first I have is remote, and that's Jeff Lowe. Mr. Lowe, are you available?
Mr. Chair, I don't see him online. If he could raise his hand, we'll add him in.
Okay.
So there might be some difficulties, but if you either move to the next person or at least allow when he gets online.
Mr. Chair, I think we've got him online.
We've got him online. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello, Mr. Lowe. Would you like to make
Yes,
some
hello.
comments about this application?
My first question is, did you receive my PDF document that I submitted? It was submitted as a written submission, and it wasn't submitted as a presentation.
Yes, we have it.
You have it. Okay. So it would seem that I don't think I'm going to be able to get through that in 5 minutes. That's why I wanted to supply you with a written submission so that you can read it. And it would seem from the questions you've been asking today that I suspect you have read it. Our basic objection to these type of properties is that they are in fact operating in rooming houses, and they are operating on single room renting. And I think Mr. Judah's been a little bit disingenuous when he says he doesn't know what the property is going to be. If you recall, last year he built a property in Anoka, and he said essentially the same things, that it wasn't a rooming house and that he didn't know what the owner had in mind. And when the property was completed, it's a rooming house. It's got 24 rooms in it. And I think I provided some of the proof that that's what's happening. And to cut a long story short, despite denying what was being built, eventually Mr. Judah's company called Altera, it's now renting rooms in that property. So we have no objections if Mr. Judah wants to come along and build semi-detached properties for families. And I think that's what the the official plan is getting at. For instance, in the 15-minute communities, it talks about focusing on safety. We believe that if you put 24 people, and that is 6 units with 4 bedrooms, if you put that on one lot, you're going to increase incrementally perhaps, but the traffic in the area. And that is going to decrease the safety of the area as well. So we're not against modernization, if you like, but this community has had 3 rooming houses built. One is across the road from where Mr. Judah is proposing on Ridgemont. That has been used as a rooming house. The community has made complaints, and that has got 120 infractions against it. But the problem with these rooming houses, these people aren't bad people, but what happens is it's a revolving door. So no sooner have the old residents gone, namely students, then we get a new set of residents and they come in, and we have the same problems with garbage and with vehicles. So we're continually calling bylaw, and we know that bylaw doesn't have the resources to handle this problem. So in my mind, prevention is better than response. We've been responding, but I think now is a time maybe to consider prevention. And that means, yes, welcome Mr. Judah with his very stylish buildings, by the way. They do look very good, but let's build houses for people, for families, and not build rooming houses, which is what he's built, unfortunately, on Anoka and one on Ridgemont. That's really all I have to say. I was very encouraged by what I heard. I know at the consultation for 1240 Anoka, Ms. McLean asked the question specifically, and this came up right at the beginning. Do you have any plans for the interior, which would determine what the property is going to be used for? So thanks, Mr. Chair. That's really all I have. I think Bill Turner will be coming on next, and I think you'll find that Bill will say the same thing. So thanks very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Loeb. If you'd hang around, please, maybe some of the panel members may have some questions for you. Ms. Wright?
Okay.
Mr. Barrett?
No, thank you.
And Ms. McLean?
I know.
No further questions for you, sir. Thank you very much for your help.
All right. Thanks very much.
Next, in person is William Turner. Are you available, sir? Come on down. Okay, now it is.
My
You
comments
state
are,
your name, sir, and your
my
address?
name is William Turner and I live at 1631 Edge Hill. I'm actually here to make representation for the property on Collins, but this property that's now under discussion is just 1 block over. The variances that are being requested are very similar. The arguments that are being made by the agent on behalf of the developer are very similar to the ones for the Collins property. So my comments are focused on that, and I would like to come back down and speak at that time on the Collins property. I would just like to follow up, though, on one comment that you made about if there are infractions in our area, because we are seeing so many of these rooming houses being built by this same developer. You say, well, that's bylaw will come down and deal with it. Bylaw cannot go in there into any of these residences without the owner's permission, or they have to get a warrant. Bylaw will not go out and get a warrant. We have spoke in person to bylaw. It is too difficult for them to get a warrant. It costs too much time and resources for them to get a warrant. If they do, and they can prove then that it is a warrant, that it is a rooming house, if it ever went to court, they would not win. And so they just, because, or if they did win, the fine would not be worth it, because the individual would turn around and it would be deemed a first-time offense for that particular individual. So the fine will be minimal, despite the fact that these people have been collecting this additional rent for the additional bedrooms that they've been renting out. That makes it a rooming house, as would explain by the city of Ottawa. It's I don't know what you want to call it, a catch-22. It's just too difficult for bylaw to deal with these rooming houses that we are seeing in our neighborhood. And as I say, we've spoken in person to bylaw, as Mr. Lowe has indicated, one property alone, and there's 4 of them in our area, 4 of them built by Alteria. 3 of them are rented out as rooming houses. Bylaw just does not have the resources to deal with these infractions, despite the fact that they have proof from people that have lived in these houses that they are being run as a rooming house. Bylaw cannot deal with it. And I would just like to make that known to the committee. And I thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing us to bring that to your attention. But to just be able to say, well, this becomes a bylaw issue, then let bylaw deal with it. Bylaw cannot deal with it. It's too difficult for them.
Okay, before you go, we're gonna probably have some questions for you. I'll just make one comment to you. We've got a very narrow scope.
Yes, understood.
Okay, we only can make
Yep.
decisions based on what the province allows us to make decisions on.
Understood.
Okay, so it's very, very narrow. And it's difficult for us to include all those things that you're talking about. I think Miss O'Connell hit it on the head, what you need to do. And I know you're telling me all these things that are not happening and that they're understaffed and they're overworked and all that stuff. But right now, we can only decide on what our narrow scope is.
Understood.
Okay, so does anybody on the panel have any questions for Mr. Turner, Mr. Barrett? No, Miss Wright? Nope. Miss McLean? Okay, no.
So I would like to come back to speak on the Collins property because
Absolutely.
I have remarks for that, but they address the same issues that we're dealing with for this Ridgemont property. They'll be very similar, Mr. Chair.
Okay, happy
Thank
to hear
you.
them. Okay, thank you, sir. And next on the list of public presenters is Leslie Hamel. Is Miss Hamel here? Questions?
I didn't plan on speaking. I think there was
Oh, did you already submit the questions and they were, okay, that's fine then. Thank you. Okay. Are there any further comments from the public? Anyone online? No? Okay. All right, Mr. Today, you are now up. You can have the last word.
Hello. Just want to make sure
Hello.
you're able to hear me.
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. Sounds great. Thank you so much. I have read through a lot of the comments today were similar to the letters that we received today. I completely understand everything that they're saying, and to say that this application or to hold this particular client, because what other clients, and again, I just want to clarify one item. We don't own these properties. We never owned them, whether before construction or after construction or whatever the case may be. We don't own these properties. We don't manage them. We don't have, all the answers for them that I would like to give them, because at the end of the day, these are the owner's properties. I can briefly stipulate that the 2 applications that are in front of you today are owned by individuals and not corporations, unlike other properties. I don't know if that makes any difference to any of the concerns today, but I do know that the applicants that I am presenting today are individuals. These ones are actually first-time buyers. So that I can mention. But again, we're not far enough, or the client's not far enough in the design to give any specific answers in regards to, and again, a lot of the discussions today were not even about what we're actually building on this particular property. It's about other properties that, well, I completely understand where they're coming from, have really not much of what we're asking for today. It's about lot width and lot area for a semi-detached on this particular lot for this particular client. So that is my final remarks and concerns on this particular application.
Thank you very much. Okay, now I'd like to ask the panel if they would like to reserve on this application. All those in favor? This application will be reserved, sir, and you'll get an answer from us in 10 days, a written answer in 10 days.
Thank you so much.
Won't go away, Mr. Jade, because we're going to try and deal with all your applications at the same time, so it's a little easier. We're going to
Absolutely.
jump down now to item number 8, Mr. Jade, and that's having to do with 1241 Collins Avenue.
Move down number 3 too. He's also.
Yep, I'm just going to
Yep.
jump down after. So, Mr. Jade, would you like to make a brief presentation for your application today?
Very similar presentation was already submitted. We can open those. They have different comparables, but we can go through it very briefly. So this one here, lot area is slightly different, 231.8. The other one was 231.3. It requires the same lot area, 270. The lot width is the same requirement. The variance requirement is that we're asking for 7.61, where the zoning requires 9 meters. And the addresses is 1241 Collins and 1243 Collins. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, perfect. So it's literally one street over, the exact same location, I would say, in context of where it is in the city. Next slide, please. So the address here, the lot's slightly different, but more or less the area of this particular building is identical. The difference being, it's one street over. This one backs onto a semi that's right behind it, that I believe is on Collins Avenue. Sorry, Anoka Avenue. Next slide, please. So subject number 01241 Collins, just on the bottom of the screen, and then one street over Anoka, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 sets of semis. Some of them severed, some of them not severed. Those that are not severed, you'll see as one bigger property. Those that are severed or were severed, you'll see them as 2. But yeah, essentially all these, so we're only taking those that were requested for a minor variance, just to be clear. So for example, you'll see lot 1, 2, 3 directly beside each other. Right beside that, at 1227, 1229, Anoka, the lots are slightly bigger. So we didn't use those as comparables. We're only comparing those that are similar in lot width or lot area. Next slide, please. So very similar to the Ridgemont, this one here, I'll just skip down to the bottom. The density is 1 unit per 232 square meters, where the zoning requires 270 square meters. Next slide, please. I'll go very quickly. So we have these 4 properties. The density for property number 1 unit per 231. Property number 2 and 3 is actually even more dense. So a lot size is actually smaller. Property number 2 is 208 square meters. Property number 3, 207 square meters. Property number 4 is 232 square meters. Next slide, please. 5, 6, 7, again, they're all more or less the same. 232, 231, 232. They're all very, I would say, if not the exact same, I would say very similar lot area, which is connected to lot width. Next slide, please. So summary here in regards to the comparable properties. Property number 0, we're asking for 232 square meters, one property per 232 square meters. The most dense is property number 3 at 207 square meters, and the biggest property which ones we compare to is 232, which is what we're asking for. So you can see compared to the comparables that we're pulling from, we fit right into what's currently there in terms of density, which is what we're looking for in terms of lot width and lot area. Next slide, please. I won't go through this unless Mr. Chair would like me to, but it's the exact same tests as Ridgemont. The only difference with this presentation is the comparables, which were not the same comparables that we pulled for Ridgemont Avenue.
Okay, does that conclude your presentation, sir?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Does the panel have any questions for Mr. Joudet? Ms. Wright? No? Mr. Barrett?
Yes. Through you, Mr. Chair, is the applicant interested in putting accessory dwellings on this property, or do you have any indication of what their plan is for the property? other than the variances that are before us.
So they're at the same stage. These are not the same side clients, but this is another couple that this is under the personal names. Again, my understanding is that this is not to be an investment property fully. This is, if they're going to look at anything, it is the secondary dwelling unit in the basement, which my understanding is at this point is not even on the plans, and that they may add it or they may not add it afterwards. They may even add it. My understanding is some discussions they had with their designer is that they may even add it after construction completely when their kids are much older. So again, they're not at that stage now. My understanding is that they haven't made any decisions, but they may or may not add it before building permits. And if they don't add it at building permit, they may add it way down the road, which is as of right. They're allowed to do that if they choose to down the road. My understanding is they want to kind of use this as a flexible space in the basement, so they may do some reference and maybe rent it out down the road. But my understanding is that it isn't in the immediate plans. Now, one thing I will mention is that the zoning is changed. The new zoning in this particular area as of last week completely changed. So if the neighbors are concerned with what's, whether it's one secondary dwelling unit per semi, which is 4 units, the zoning as of right now, which was approved last week, allows 10 units in this zoning and another story. So you're allowed to actually do a lot more density, but if that was the client's intention, they wouldn't have applied for this minor variance now. Like if they could have just waited, because my understanding is that it's going to be implemented in Q2 of 2026, which is, very soon. We're talking about within the next few months, the new zoning is going to be implemented. They could have just waited and then built, as of right, 10 units, 3 stories. But they're not going down that path. They're going down the path of going for a minor variance so they can build earlier and build what they want to build so they can live in it. That's my understanding.
Go ahead, Mr. Barrett.
So just from listening to your response, you're indicating that this is going to be their principal residence?
That was my understanding. That's what the client informed me.
Okay. Ms. McLean, do you have any questions? I'd like to ask Ms. O'Connell to come back on again and just really would like to have an understanding of the process. If the residents have any issues with the use of the property, what's the process for a resident?
The best course of action, Mr. Chair, would be to call 311 and request a bylaw officer visit the site. I understand and I have sympathy for the residents' concerns about enforcement. One of my colleagues has informed me that there is potential for building code inspectors to get a warrant to enter, but it may be, I don't have a lot of information about that process, but essentially from a planning perspective, when we're reviewing this application, we're reviewing the application that's before us today, and it can't be done on sort of speculation about what an application may become in the future.
No, I agree with you, and we're just dealing with the application we have today, but I wanted to preempt a question by Mr. Lowe, Mr. Turner, sorry, as he comes up next in the list of speakers. Okay, now I'd like to ask planning if they've got some comments to make about this application.
No concerns from our side. I just want to note for the record that we do have a condition on this minor variance and the one on Ridgemont, but just want to make sure that we are fine subject to that variant, that condition being approved.
So, Mr. Jude, are you familiar with the condition that's been placed on these 2 applications?
Yes, in regard to the stormwater management condition, yes, I am aware of that, and we are fine with that.
And do you agree with them?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions for planning?
No, I don't.
Ms. Wright?
No.
Ms. McLean?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right, now we're going to move on to the public, and we have 3 registered speakers. 2 of them are remote. The first one is Evelyn Eyre. Evelyn Eyre, are you available?
Yes, Mr. Chair, she's online.
Hello, Ms. Eyre.
Hi there, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Would you like to make some comments about this application?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Chair Poulin. My name is Evelyn Eyre, and I live at 1245 Collins Avenue. I'd like to echo my neighbor's concerns about the development in this neighborhood, and I'd like to add as well, this is not a minor variance. I bought the property next to 1241 Collins Avenue less than a year ago. My house, like other Victory homes, is small with a yard for a garden. We are facing rising food prices and global instability that can limit access to produce from other countries. I want to grow a food garden, and this requires sunlight. The proposed development will block the afternoon and evening sunlight in our backyard. In addition, it will block my household's west-facing windows. Another concern that I have is that in 2023, I want to share my experience. I lived in the Heron Park neighborhood, just down the hill from here. In a torrential downpour, our basement flooded due to overloaded stormwater pipes. My neighbors had 2 feet of water in their basements. Houses throughout the neighborhood were affected. Many insurance claims were made. Ridgemont was also affected, and this was documented in the Alta Vista Ward flooding report available on Councillor Carr's website. Climate change projections indicate that Ottawa will become hotter and wetter with more frequent extreme rain events. Ottawa has undertaken a climate vulnerability and risk assessment, and this identified flood damage to infrastructure and property as a priority risk. The City of Ottawa has a Rain Ready program to encourage residents to redirect rain runoff onto permeable surfaces and create rain gardens. The redevelopment of lots with small houses and good-sized yards throughout Ridgemont has reduced the total amount of permeable surfaces and vegetation that absorb rainwater. This development will more than half the permeable surfaces on the property and exacerbate an existing known problem. I'm very concerned that the combination of decreased permeable surfaces, not just with this one, but throughout the neighborhood, and increased extreme rain events will result in flooding for our direct neighborhood as well as those nearby. Thank you so much for considering my comments.
Thank you for your comments. I'd like to ask the panel if they have any questions for you. Mr. Barrett?
Okay.
That's right. Okay, Ms. McLean? No questions for you. Thank you very much for your input. Much appreciated. The next person on my list of public speakers is Jeff Lowe, and I believe he's remote as well. All the way over there in England, Mr. Lowe, are you available?
Howdy, Reid.
Hi. Would you like to make some comments?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I should have said last time I'm at 1240 Collins Avenue, it's across from the proposed development. I think I really summed up what our concerns are. The purpose of the building is a legitimate concern in this variance process, of course. It's not just about feet and inches or meters, the size of the block, although I think Evelyn really articulated well the problems with the groundwater and the surface water. We're experiencing increased population, and we've got an issue with road safety, as I mentioned earlier on. But the other issue that I just wouldn't mind talking about is something that comes up in a lot of these reports. It's called orderly development of these properties. And an element of that orderly development is chaos. And because of the problems that we're having with these properties, such as 120 infractions in Ridgemont alone, it's creating a sense of mistrust within the community. And that chaos is not good for our community. And that chaos is caused by the buildings that are going up that are over density. So I know that'll be addressed at some point. If I refer back to what the committee did and arrived at a decision on Grassmere, where 2 long semis were going to be put on a lot that was 65 by 150, then you will see that you came to the decision that 48 people living on a lot that side was over intensification and equally could cause a lot of chaos within our area and also safety on our roads. So, you know, these are the things that we live with every day. And we've identified them and we've witnessed the problems that we're having with them. They provide the proof of that. So I'm getting on a stable connection. I'm sorry if I don't know if you can still hear me. So really, those are the comments. And listening to what you folks have to say today, there is a certain amount of uncertainty about what exactly is going to build here. So can we really go forward with that uncertainty? I'll leave it at that, Mr. Chair. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much. I think our panel might have some questions for you, Mr. Barrett.
No, thanks.
Okay, Ms. Wright?
I guess I'd just like to address the fact that we're not given enough information. And while to some degree I agree with you, unfortunately, there's a statutory requirement to only provide us, in this case of lot width and lot area, for a site plan, and even elevations are questionable. So unfortunately, I'll sort of echo my chairman's comment earlier. Our hands are kind of tied. Well, I would love to see full elevations and streetscapes. Unfortunately, they aren't required submissions, so it's difficult that way. Thank you.
Ms.
Okay,
McLean, do you have any
that's,
questions
I
for the
understand.
applicant? Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Lowe. Appreciate your time.
Okay, thanks very much,
Now I'd
Mr.
like to
Chair.
move on to, you're welcome, William Turner.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Chair and members of the Committee of Adjustment. I'm here to speak to the property at Collins. I'm here to speak to the 4 tests, and I'm just going to go through them individually. I already submitted my submission to or to the staff earlier, so you have them, but I'll just quickly go through them just in case there are any questions. But what I'm saying, the first test that the Committee of Adjustments to deal with is, does the proposal maintain the general intent and purpose of the official plan? The applicant has provided his little statements, but my response is I'm always interested to see the agents, because this is not the first time we've seen Mr. Jude speak on behalf of the applicants. They show pictures, and with his submission earlier, not today, but earlier submission, they show pictures of semi-detached dwellings in the area. They are the same photos of family homes that he's used before for other presentations. They show nice 2-story semi-detached dwellings, a family unit on each side, laneway, garage, and a nice front lawn. This would lead the Committee of Adjustment committee members to believe that this is what is going to be built at 1241 Collins and again at 1231 Ridgemont. However, this is never the case. These 2 properties will be the 4th and 5th dwellings built in the Ridgemont area by the same developer, Alteria. And all of them have been rooming houses, largely rented to students. Why? Because this provides the greatest return on investment. They're dwellings with either 2 or 3 units per side, either 16 or 24 individual rooms for rent. given that the market value of these rental units per room is about $800, give or take, it can extend from $800 to $950. But if just the $800, if they were to rent the 16 rooms, that would amount to over $12,000 per month for that one. Sorry. This amounts to $12,000 per month for the 16 rooms if there were 2 rentals on each side of these dwellings. If there are 24 rooms, in other words, 3 units on each side of this proposed development at Collins, that would amount to nearly $20,000 a month, nearly $230,000 income per year. So in a matter of 4 years, they could probably end up paying this development off. This is all about return on investment. These are businessmen. They want to make as much money as possible. The official plan, its policy is intent on providing housing options for larger households, a demand for single detached, semi-detached row houses and dwelling units with enough floor space to accommodate larger households. The official plan is to provide an appropriate range and mix of affordable housing for low and moderate income households across all neighborhoods. Alteria's intent for these 2 properties, which we don't know, but is not in keeping with the city's official plan, at least that's our perception. The schematics that they have submitted for the variances suggest that the proposed dwelling is in keeping with their previous builds in the Ridgemont area, single-use student housing. The second test, does the proposal maintain the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw? In response, it is very, very difficult to respond to this test. It's a question for the committee. Has the committee seen the architectural drawings for the actual dwelling? Well, we haven't. You haven't, we haven't. We don't know when the drawings will be submitted to the city, but presumably if the variance is approved, then the drawings will go in. How is the Committee of Adjustment able to do its due diligence without knowing what is going to be built or its purpose? Only then would the Committee of Adjustment be able to know if the variance allowed the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw to be maintained and that they are compatible with the existing use of the land pattern in the neighborhood. If the proposal is for student housing or rental housing on a room for rent basis, which we strongly suspect, then this is not in keeping with the existing land use pattern of the neighborhood and would be in violation of the existing bylaw, the zoning bylaw for this area, which is designated R2F, no rooming houses. The third test, is the proposal desirable for the appropriate development and use of the land? I'll be very quick here, Mr. Chair.
Take your time. 1 more minute, please.
In keeping with Altero's past record in this area, the dwellings on Collin and Ridgemont will be semi-detached student residences, each housing up to 24 students. The dwellings themselves will be 2-story rectangular structures extending from one side of the property to the other, protruding well into the rear of the property. The dwellings will replace a family home that once had a front yard, a backyard, a driveway, and a garage. Most homes in this area are bungalows, 1.5-story single-family homes with front and backyards, a driveway, and a garage. The proposed development for both Collins and Ridgemont greatly exceed the concurrent proportions of any home currently on either Collins or Ridgemont. It is indeed possible that the proposed dwellings, because of their very large footprint, will cause drainage issues. Runoff for many of the properties on Collins is afforded by a drainage ditch at the front of their property. What is being proposed at Collins completely disrupts this flow of drain and storm water. Additionally, the dwellings being proposed at both Collins and Ridgemont run north-south. Run north-south. high, two-story structures, which during the summer months will leave the adjoining properties shaded for much of the day. The applicant in their statement on this test clearly states the design of the building supports more green space in the front yard while limits the paved areas. Nothing could be further from the truth. The proposed dwellings significantly increase the footprint and built-up area of the property, and the inclusion of two driveways on either side of the property from the street to the front of the building further reduces any green space on the property. The final question or final test, is the proposal minor? Very quickly, the variance is minor in the opinion of some, but will have a major impact on the surrounding area. The proposed structure is out of proportion to the older established homes in the neighborhood and will significantly change the aesthetic and the streetscape of Collins Avenue and Ridgemont Avenues. Collins Avenue is a small, quiet street in the neighborhood, one lived on by families and children. The homes are modest and set back from the street. None are like the very large two-story structures that are depicted in the schematics in support of these two variances. My final comments, Mr. Chair. Families are not against development in this area, but the development needs to be reasonable and in keeping with the aesthetic of the neighborhood. A variety of housing is needed, including family-oriented housing and homes. What is being proposed at 1240 Collins and 1231 Ridgemont are not in keeping with the city's official plan, as we believe they will not meet the general intent and purpose of the zoning bylaw. Neither is desirable for the appropriate development or use of the land on which they will be built. And if the proposed variance goes ahead, they will have profound impacts on the neighborhood. The city official plan clearly states minor variances are a test of impact. And it also goes on to state that it's a test of impact, not size. But thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Turner. I'll ask the panel if they have any questions for you. Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions for Mr. Turner?
No, I don't.
Ms. Wright?
I do, but it's to pick up on a comment of yours, and I'd like to address it to planning if I could at this time. Just
Sure.
That's okay. So at the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned 16 rooms or 24 rooms, and by rooms, I imagine you mean bedrooms.
Bedrooms, that's
Bed-
correct, yes,
okay.
ma'am.
So to planning, and I hate this rooming house kind of idea, and I keep coming back to it, I'm sorry. If it was to be considered a rooming house, there would have to be more than 8 bedrooms. And is that, just to be clear again, is that per unit in the building? Or is it the whole half, let's say? Let's say, each half had 1 or 2 accessory units in it. So let's just, for argument purposes, say 3 on one side, 3 units on one side. Is it 8 per unit, or is it 8 cumulative for the whole half?
Give me 1 second. I'm understanding your question.
And then I guess,
Yep.
Whatever it is it caught at building permit stage and not necessarily now because we don't have plans in front of us?
Just give me 1 moment. I got multiple screens. I'm just
I
making.
just
sure I
really
got my
want
notes.
to
So a rooming house, it would be per unit. But even at like the building permit stage, like the plans examiners will be reviewing those floor plans because they have to submit the floor plans. Just keep in mind, I am not a building code inspector, but like they got to check the bedrooms, the kitchens, the washrooms, and do the counts that way. It's just coming from past experiences of plans examiner in another municipality,
Okay.
but it's part of their review when they're, that's the whole point of the building permit review. It's not just code compliance, it's also that zoning compliance. And our zoning plans examiner at the city are very excellent at this and very thorough when they're going through. Sorry, does that cover your question, or are you?
Yeah, so technically, I guess you could have if a half has 3 dwelling units in it, you could have 7 bedrooms. And
Potentially, it's really
potentially, plus how they work with bathrooms and common areas, but
very difficult because we are dealing with a hypothetical situation, and I'm very limited in the sense that this is the plans that we have before us, but kind of to go back to the point, a rooming house is just not permitted here, like, because they're not
I
on
agree,
Bank
but
Street. Yeah.
something with 21 bedrooms might be. If it was 777.
Yeah, they would have to still comply with like the unit, like the definition of a dwelling unit, and they're limited to their bedrooms. Unfortunately, I don't have the plans, like we're only reviewing the lot width and lot area variances
Yeah.
and just on their potential footprint.
Okay,
I
but
see.
the idea that, because part of the evidence that you presented to us, not today, but in the PDF that was sent, was the fact that Algonquin College, or sorry, some students from Algonquin or Carleton, I can't remember, there were 3 young women looking for a 4th roommate. That doesn't define a rooming house, does it?
I might pass it over to Ms. O'Connell. This is just a very tricky scenario here.
Yeah, Ms. O'Connell?
Looking through our bylaw definitions to try and help with some of so a dwelling unit in our zoning bylaw permits no more than 4 bedrooms per unit, unless there's another definition for oversized dwelling units. And so a hypothetical scenario of a dwelling unit and 2 accessory units, which I believe are permitted in this zone, would be up to 12 bedrooms per half of a semi-detached. A rooming house, I don't believe it has a maximum number of bedrooms, but again, going back to it may be helpful for the definition of a household, and I think that goes to what you're getting at, is because a rooming house does not function as a household, but a household says they may or may not be related. So it's not meant to distinguish between, you could have a group of students renting a dwelling unit together, and that's permitted, and that's not defined as a rooming unit. But it's when if a household is if they live together as a single household keeping establishment and they exercise a meaningful degree of collective decision-making and responsibility for the management of the interior. And so that's a tricky definition, but it's meant to sort of distinguish between, again, a group of students are completely within their rights to rent collectively a dwelling unit. Typically, it would be one person on the lease, and then they share amongst each other, and that might be the scenario that you're talking about. And the difference between a rooming unit is if the management entity is renting out each bedroom independently, and there's no decision-making happening between that household.
Okay, I think that's really helpful. So the idea, the dwelling unit, though, it's a maximum of, if there was the primary and 2 accessory, you've got 4 maximum bedrooms per unit, it would be 12.
12 bedrooms.
Per half in the current zoning.
That's right.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions? No. Okay, Ms. McLean? Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Turner.
Could I just add one comment? Because we spoke to bylaw, but this business of these units that can have up to 4 bedrooms per unit. If the owner, and I'm not saying this is the case, will be the case for this particular property, but if the owner rents each of one of those bedrooms in that unit individually, has a separate lease for each, it is automatically a rooming house. It is not a household. Okay, and that's what they're doing. That's what they've done on Anoka, on the 2 properties there. That's what they did on Ridgemont for the property they built a number of years ago. That's why we believe they're going to do the same thing on Collins and for the new build on Ridgemont. We will end up at the end of the day amongst 3 or 4 blocks, if you count Grassmere, with over between 150 and 175 student individual room rentals. These people are not invested in the community. It is just wreaking havoc.
Thank you, Mr. Turner.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Now I'd like to ask Mr. Jade to,
There's another lady.
is there one more person? I don't have another
Heather.
person. Okay, can you come down? Have you registered with planning staff?
I just want to say.
And you need to, please let us know who you are and where you live.
Yep. My name is Kathy Bergquist and I live at 1231 Collins Ave. Thank you for taking my comment. I just want to add one issue with the increased density of traffic is just that the neighborhood, the entire neighborhood has no sidewalks. So that's all I want to say. There is a safety issue just because, especially when there's snow on both sides of the road, there's nowhere to go to get out of the way of people who are late for work, for school, for wherever they're going. And there were just a lot of close calls, and I'd rather we didn't wait till there was an accident to do something.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you. And does anybody on the panel have any questions? Mr. Barrett? No, Ms. Wright? Ms. McLean? No, thank you very much, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Mr. Jade, do you want to give us your wrap up and your summary of your application then?
Absolutely. I just want to make sure you can hear me, number one.
Can hear you.
Okay, perfect. Sounds great. Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. So I'd like to briefly state a couple of minor things, other than what I previously said before. I completely understand where the neighborhood's coming from. Some of the comments, to be honest with you, are not really anything we can assist with in regards to sidewalks, what infrastructure is currently there. You know, we have no impact, and our development doesn't affect, you know, whether we have sidewalks or don't have sidewalks. You know, that's not part of our design. In regards to the actual property itself, I can tell you from my previous, because, you know, a lot of my past is being brought here. I can tell you from my experience that for somebody that lived in not this, so we live on the west side of Bank Street, which is called Heron Park. This is the east side, it's Ridgemont. My first development there over 10 years ago, I didn't have the intention of living there. And then after I built it, I moved my entire family there. And we've been there for 10 years. And, you know, we grew out of that particular unit because we built a triplex, you know, then I got married, then I had a kid, you know, and we built another semi-detached. Every step of the way, the neighborhood was against us, regardless. And it's unfortunately part of the truth of the matter that, you know, and I completely understand, you know, they want to stay the status quo, they want to, you know, the neighborhood stay as is, and I understand the reasons for doing so, but unfortunately, that's not the direction of the city of Ottawa, nor the new zoning. The new zoning is, you know, if you think now it's very dense, it's going to get a lot more dense with a lot more units, right? And this is just the direction of the city of Ottawa, and this isn't my opinion. This is what was approved by the City of Ottawa Council last week, right? We're going from, you know, 4 units or 6 units, you want to call it now, to potentially 10 units and another story. If, you know, 2 stories is out of character in the neighborhood, 3 stories is going to be a lot more, right? And this is me saying, like, unfortunately, this is the reality of the situation now. This is the direction of the city of Ottawa. This is, you know, if we, and I feel for the neighborhood and I feel for the neighbors, and I also feel for my clients, because they're coming today to try to build a semi-detached, right? I could have very easily advised them, say, hey, and told them, and they know the new zoning is, you know, when we applied wasn't approved. Now it's approved. You know, we could have just canceled the applications and wait for the new zoning to come in, and, you know, they could build a lot bigger and not move into the particular property. But to hold other properties as a representation for this particular property for these new clients, it's I feel for the neighbors and I understand where they're coming from, but it just seems unjust from our side. That being said, it's, you know, the committee's decision to make. And I would like to summarize by saying these applications are for 2 items, lot width and lot area. That's what we're here for today. Whether or not a semi-detached with this particular zoning, with these dimensions of a lot, fit into this neighborhood based on the current fabric of the neighborhood, based on the existing zoning, not taking into consideration the new zoning that would be, you know, implemented within the next literally few months. It's already been approved. So it's just a matter of does the committee today believe that our semi-detached does not fit into our zoning currently that's there today, and minor variance of lot width and lot area is out of character for other neighboring properties in our neighborhood? And that's my conclusion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jude. I'd like to ask the panel if they would like to reserve on this application. All those in favor to reserve, please raise your hands. This application is going to be reserved and we'll let you know in 10 days in writing. Thank you very much for your
Thank you so
presentation.
much. Thank you.
Don't go away. We got you up for one more.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to be talking about 1385 McMahon. Mr. Jude, would you like to make a brief discussion about your application?
Absolutely. So we do not, we can open up maybe the draft for our plan. A presentation was not submitted for this particular lot. We are told that we would be on the fast track application, approval for this particular application. I don't know if anybody's received any comments, but I will briefly talk about this particular lot. Part one of this property is an existing single family dwelling. The zoning is R1WW on McMahon Avenue. Currently, right now, there's a single family dwelling that's there that's proposed to be kept and not changed. And the severance would allow the large lot to be split in half, keep the existing dwelling unit in part one, and essentially build another single family dwelling in part two of this particular property. And we are asking for no minor variances whatsoever. We conform to all provisions in regards to setbacks, front, yard, height, in regards to everything. So there is no minor variances being requested on this particular property.
Okay, thank you. Just to let you know why you're not on the unopposed list is that you didn't reply to whether you agree with the requested conditions that the city has asked for. So we have 3 of them. Do you agree with those conditions?
I do.
Okay. So I'd like to ask the panel if they have any questions for Mr. Jude. Ms. Wright?
No.
Mr. Barrett?
No.
Ms.
Yeah.
McLean?
No.
No? All right. Next, we'd like to ask our, not our, but the city's planning staff if they have any comments to make.
No, no further comments from me unless you have any questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions for planning?
No, I don't.
Ms. Wright?
No.
No. Ms. McLean? No, no questions. Okay, so we'd now like to proceed to the public. If there's anybody from the public that would like to make a comment or two. Is there anyone online? Is there anyone in-house that would like to make some comments? Nope, no comments. Okay, Mr. Jude, you have the floor to wrap up.
We appreciate your time and attention to this application. I think this application is pretty straightforward in regards to what the zoning is, what we're intending to build, and the current client that lives at 1385 is going to own the second severed lot and to build a similar lot to what's existing there now. That is everything.
Thank you very much, sir. Now, panel, would you like to reserve on this application? Raise your hands, please. Yep. So we're reserving again on this application, sir. You'll receive our written confirmation of our decision in 10 days. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. On to item number 4, having to do with 23 Palsen. Michael Segreto, are you available? Mr. Segreto.
Hello?
Hi.
Yes, I am.
Good. Nice to see you. So, sir, would you like to make a brief presentation on your application?
Yes, for sure. Can we go to the PowerPoint, please? So what I have in front of you here today is an application for severance to consent to sever and some minor variances. Presently, there's a single family dwelling at 23 Palsen. It's a little bungalow. It's on a lot approximately, I believe, 100 by 100. So we're looking to split the lot into 2 equal lots for 2 single family dwellings. One dwelling for Michael, I forget his last name, I'm sorry, but the one dwelling is for one particular family, and the other dwelling on parts 1 and 4 is for Maria and her daughter, her daughter's husband, and the in-laws. In order to do this here today, what we will need is we need some variances, and the variances that I have for you are as follows. If you can go to the next slide. There's the site plan, and you can clearly see that there's some variances there on parts 1 and 4 and 2 and 3. So for parts 1 and 4, we have a variance to reduce the lot width from 15.6 meters down to 15.16 meters from the required 19.5 meters. And it's the same thing for parts 2 and 3, 15.16 from the 19.15. Variance number B would be to permit an entrance to the garage to be set back 0.2 meters further from the front lot line than the portion of the projection porch that goes not far within the required yard, whereas the bylaw states that the entrance to the garage must be set back at least 0.6 meters further from the front lot line than the portion of the projecting porch that does not fall within the required yard. Number C, variance C, is to permit the entrance to the garage to be 1.24 meters closer to the front lot line than the principal entrance to the dwelling, whereas the bylaw states that the garage may not be more than 0.6 meters closer to the front lot line than the principal entrance to the dwelling. Number D, to permit the rear porch to project at 3.36 meters into the required rear yard, whereas the bylaw permits a maximum projection of 2 meters into the rear yard, but no closer than 1 meter from any lot line. And number E, to permit the rear porch to project within 0.9 meters of the side lot line, whereas the bylaw permits a maximum projection of 2 meters, but no closer than 1 meter from any lot line. So those are the variances for parts 1 and 4. So for parts 2 and 3, you're looking again, as I said, I mentioned the front lot width. That would be F, and then G, to permit the entrance to the garage to be set back 0.0 meters further from the lot line than the portion of the projection porch that does not fall within the required yard, whereas the bylaw states that the entrance to the garage must be set back at least 0.6 meters further from the front lot line than the porch projecting that porch does not fall within the required yard. Number H, to permit the entrance to the garage to be 1.25 meters closer to the front lot line than the principal entrance to the dwelling, whereas the bylaw states that the garage may not be more than 0.6 closer to the front lot line than the principal entrance to the dwelling. Now, it may look like there's a lot of variances here, but the variances are very minor in nature due to the fact it's all got to do with the projection of the garage with respect to the front door. And it gets all technical and a little bit confusing. But these variances are very minor in nature due to the fact that with respect to the design of these houses, there's very minimal impact to the neighborhood or to any abutting neighbors or in the community. There's a lot of houses that have been done in the past with similar variances that you have. Can you go to the next slide, please? So this is basically it. You have the lot there. You have part 1 and 4 in the back. There's an easement. I believe it's a utility easement for hydro, and parts 2 and 3. And again, the single family dwelling in the garage will be demolished, and two single family dwellings will be placed there, with the exception that on part 1 and 4, there will be 3 families living there, as I stated. The mother will be living in the basement. Her children will be living on the ground floor with her husband's family living in the dwelling, the attached dwelling, the granny suite in the back. Next slide. This is an overview of Palsen. As you can see, we've done a couple of severances in the past. I've done those severances on Palsen myself, and they were approved a year or two ago. And there's another one on Meadowlands, which is very similar in the area. And the impact of these lots, they fit in well. They're deep, deep lots. Next slide, please. That's the elevation of the house that will have 3 units. Next slide. And that's the elevation of the other house on parts 2 and 3. Next slide. And that's just the grading plan indicating where the services are, the trees that are being protected and the trees that are being retained, and there's no issues from my understanding with respect to the trees. So when it comes to the approving of this application with respect to the 4 tests, I would like to say that we've met with planning, we had long discussions with planning, and I believe planning is supporting this application, or they have no concerns with it. And with respect to the City View Community Association, we've given our plans to them as well. They've looked at it. We had positive feedback from them as well. They didn't have any concerns with it at all. With the 4 tests, you're looking at the minor variance. Is it minor? In my opinion, it is minor. Basically dealing with a 2-foot setback on the garage door and the front entrance door. That's what all those variances are about. And this fits in very well with this neighborhood. Are the variances desirable? In my opinion, they are desirable. They're not impacting anything. The general intent and the purposes of the zoning bylaw is being maintained. It is a permitted use. We're following all the rules and regulations with respect to zoning, with the exception of asking for the variances that we're requesting, and the general intent and purpose of the official plan is being maintained. And I believe this is good development and good infill for this particular neighborhood. That's my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Segreto. Are you aware of the conditions that would be imposed should this application be approved?
Yes, I am.
Do you agree with those conditions?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, could we add one more condition?
Oh, well, it'll be open for discussion because everybody's got to talk about it. So I think panel member McLean would like to add something.
Sure.
I believe we should add a condition to demolish the existing dwelling and the garage.
No
Since the
problem.
proposed severance line will go through the existing dwelling.
Yes.
Your
Absolutely.
thoughts, Mr. Segreto?
Absolutely. I agree with that totally.
Okay. And planning, does planning agree with that too?
My understanding. Apologies. From my understanding, there was already a demolition permit that was issued for the existing dwelling, and it was that was issued by building code. So we didn't include it as a condition as part of staff's report.
Okay, that's good then.
Good. Okay, thank you, Ms. McLean. All right, so you do agree with those conditions? That's great. Are there any questions from panel members? Mr. Barrett?
No, there isn't.
Ms. Wright?
I do, not a question, just a comment. I thought the package that you submitted was very detailed and quite easy to read. And I really appreciated the streetscape, and I even most appreciated the narrowing of the driveway on the easternmost property to save that tree. So thank you for that.
Thank you so much. I have to thank my staff for that. They're very good at that.
Ms. McLean, do you have any questions for Mr. Segreto? Okay, thank you very much. Now I'd like to move on to the public and see if the public has any comments to make. Is there anyone online that would like to make some comments about this application? Okay, anyone in-house that would like to make some comments on the application? No one here? Okay. Well, Mr. Segreto, then I'm going to leave it up to you to wrap things up and give us your last word.
Again, I truly believe that the variances that we're requesting today are minor. I believe it's good infill. There's other projects that are similar on that street, and I believe it's good intensification. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Panel members, would you like to reserve on this application? All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application will be reserved and we will receive our written comments and decision in 10 days. Thank you, Mr. Segreto.
Thank you so much.
All right, our next application we'll be talking about today is item number 7, having to do with 43 Pentland. And I'm looking for Piero and Shannon Marich. Piero and Shannon Marich.
You're online, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Hello, Piero and Shannon Marich. We cannot hear you.
Oh, great. Can you hear
Oh,
me
there
now?
you are. There you are.
Excellent. Great.
Good stuff.
And I'll see if I can get my video going. I'm not sure what that
Okay.
button is. There we go.
All right, so if you'd like to make your presentation, please proceed.
Great. So my name is Pero Merrick, and my wife and I am actually presenting for both of us. And like today, we're going to talk about our home, 43 Pentland Crescent in Beaverbrook. Next slide, please. So just a bit of preamble. I've been in this residence at 43 Pentland Crescent for the last 7 years. My son goes to school right across the street at Stephen Leacock. And after that, he'll spend another, I guess, 7 years at Earl of March. So long-time residents, and we plan to retire here in Beaverbrook. Quite a nice community. I'm very much attached to it. So the purpose of the variance application is to build 1.58 meters into the property setback, which for an R1M home on this property is 4.5 meters. So we're looking to get 1.58 meters into it for the addition of a garage slash front entrance bump out there on the bottom. And the kind of like the red mark on the bottom represents the 1.58 meters. Next slide, please. So why? Just to give you some background. So we live in a house. We've been here for 7 years, plan to retire here for the next 25 plus years. So a couple of quick points. These homes are old. They were built in 1967, I think it was, the specific house. You can see on the right-hand side, the actual design of the garage goes into the house, right? Super, super cold when they're open, super, super hot in the summertime. And so it really creates a challenge given the fact that these buildings are built with 2x4s and not modern 2x6s. So the insulation is very much lacking in these homes. I mentioned that we have a son that goes to Stephen Leacock across the street. And so eventually we want to build a basement dwelling, not just for him, but some family members that may want to use it in the next 3 to 5 years, which is when we plan to do it. Not immediately, but it will come online within the next 3 to 5 years. And that basement dwelling unit would be around 1,000 square feet or 93 square meters, right? So this taking out of the 360 square feet from the garage, bumping it out, would give us that space to build a 1,000 square foot basement dwelling unit. Also, these homes are old, so the brickwork on the stairs to the left in that picture is failing and needs to be redone, similar to the right side of the wall of the existing garage doors. And the wooden balcony above the garage needs to be replaced as well. And first point I mentioned, right, that garage is not very tall. It's 6.4 feet. I'm 6'2", so it's not very usable as it stands right now. That's a sacrifice they made when they actually designed this type of unit in Beaverbrook. Also, there's stairs to the left. So for 5 months of the year, it's hazardous to take the stairs. We're getting older. I'm in my 50s. And so we want to build an at-grade entrance on the right-hand side, which you'll see in a follow-up image, which would then allow us to age in place. And also, Beaverbrook has older covenants that people would park in the garage. That's kind of a bit more lenient now, but most people still do. We never really parked in the garage because of the aforementioned fact that it's too cold in the winter, too hot in the summer. So building this addition would actually allow us to get the cars off the street, right? Next slide, please. So this is what it looks like from a rendition standpoint. Is currently right now without the addition, it's flat, but it's 12 feet out. Again, we're looking for a minor variance request of building 1.58 meters into it, or 5.2 feet. That's what that would look like once it's completed. Also, there's a variance, there's an option at the end, which I'll show you, which is not a preferred option, but this one is kind of like the least impactful on green space, because you can see that we're basically building on top of the existing asphalt. And the right-hand side with that window and door is about 130 square feet of grass, which would be taken up, which is very minimal compared to the lot size. Next slide, please. So how does this fall under the 4 tests? So with respect to the official plan, again, I mentioned that these homes are nicely placed, nicely styled, but they're terrible at efficiency. And so we want to actually put in a heat pump, right? We've already put triple glazed windows into the house, massive difference because they're floor to ceiling in these beaver brick homes. And then by doing this change to the garage/entrance push out, it would make that side of the wall 45% more efficient, right? And some loose modeling, about 2.3 tons of CO2 savings per year, which is half of what an average car uses per year. But that's ongoing every single year forward, right? Also within this community, there's a lot of homes, but not a lot of people in them, right? It's an older community. So per home, maybe you have 2, 3 residents. And so we're not advocating for any massive style of densification like you have in Westboro, which is where I used to live. But this area could use some small changes that would allow basement dwelling units to be built to take advantage of the great community and the great green space, which speaks to the second last point. And then also there's a brand new Moody LRT, which we want to take advantage of when it's built. And also any new resident like my brother that moves in and the downstairs dwelling would be able to use as well. Next slide, please. So how does it maintain the intent of the zoning bylaw? So we're not looking to change the single detached dwelling zoning. The variance, as I mentioned, is a prerequisite to free up internal space that's taken up by the garage, which we never really open because it's so cold in the winter, so hot in the summer. If we push that out, then it gives us an extra 360 square feet to then be able to use for a dwelling. We're not looking to seek or change lot lines, like things will stay as they are right now. And also, the last point is it's a functional addition, right? We're actually, it kills 7 birds with 1 stone, as I previously mentioned. Next slide. So is it appropriate use of the land? In our opinion, it is, because again, it's not really usable right now for the height of the garage. And so by taking it out, we're basically adding 2 feet to it, which then would allow us to use it like modern people use their garages with modern cars, right? So most other homeowners in this community that have a similar model park outside for the very same reason, that it's just not usable. Age in place, mentioned that before, and it's a better option than our non-variance option, which I'll show at the end. Next slide. So is it minor in nature? Yes. There's no snout projection of a garage, because the left-hand side, which is 1 story, has a massing of dirt, and it kind of slides and slopes into the actual extension, which is what we're proposing. So it doesn't really have a snouting effect. The brickwork would actually fit with the existing brickwork of the house, and then it would remediate the brickwork, the actual overhang, aging deck, and the driveway, which needs bad repairs as well. Mentioned that it's only 133 square feet of grass that would be replaced, because the vast majority of it is already on asphalt. And there's no impact to shadowing on neighbor properties, trees, water discharge, and it's really not impactful at all to any neighboring properties. Next slide. And so next slide, please. So this is the option that's non-variance, which we don't like, because we can build 15 feet out towards Leacock Drive and make the house 80 feet, right? So it'd be a very, very long house. But then it would give us that extra square footage to build the basement apartment, which is what we want to do with 3 to 5 years. But then because the cost of brickwork is so expensive nowadays with labor post-COVID, it would really add like $50,000-$60,000 to brick that. And so we'd be forced to cut costs and change the styling of the house to match the styling of that addition. And if you can go to the next slide as well. Next slide, please. Oh, yeah, I think there's one more slide, isn't there? Oh, so I guess it's not there. Previous slide. Yeah, and so really this other option, which requires no variance, it's not our favorite because it really takes away green space and gets closer to the trees. And if you know Beaverbrook, we're actually at a very kind of interesting corner because it's a second street built in Canada on Pentland Crescent. And this style change and erasing of green space would really change the character of the neighborhood. So we much prefer the minor variance route, and that's why we went this route versus taking the no variance and just doing a straight building plan. And that's it for the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a couple of things that I just want to bring up. I guess there was an amendment presented to us late last week, and the amendment reads as follows: to permit a reduced corner side yard instead of front yard setback of 2.54 meters, whereas the bylaw requires a minimum corner side yard and removing front yard setback of 4.5. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
And do you agree with it?
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you. The other item is there's a standard condition that is imposed on this application, and I'll read it for you. Subject to the location and size of the proposed construction being in accordance with the plans filed, Committee of Adjustment date stamped January 6, 2026, as they relate to the requested variance. Are you aware of that one?
Yes.
Okay, do you agree with that one?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, I'd like to ask the panel if you've got any questions for you, sir. Mr. Barrett, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yes, Mr. Chair. In your presentation, you had mentioned the amendment, I believe it was 2.56. I stand to be corrected. Could you please, I just want to make sure we have the amendment is
It's
clear.
2.54 is what.
What is suggested by staff, yes.
Okay. Ms. Wright, do you have any questions?
I do. You mentioned that the garage is just over 6 feet now, and you're going to go up to 8 or 9. So you're gaining 2
Correct.
feet. How is that 2 feet gained? Are you going down in the garage, or are you raising the roof somehow? Or?
Oh, very good question. So when they built these homes, to get insulation in between the first floor and the garage, what they did is actually built a subframe. So they actually hung a subframe underneath the actual existing floor, and then that way they can put some insulation into it, right? And so that's what made the garage so shallow, is that to insulate it, they actually kind of built it and then added a subframe. So basically, by us pushing it out this way, and then reclaiming space inside the house, right, which is naturally heated. This way, we actually get to we basically just take away that subframe, and so there's no digging into the ground at all. It's just really pushing it out and then better framing and insulating the actual exterior extension.
Okay. What I was concerned about was if it was being raised at all and
No.
brought out, it might affect sight lines around the corner. But I imagine if planning has no concerns, then I don't either. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thanks.
Ms. McLean, any questions?
No.
Okay, no questions. Great. Okay, moving on to planning. Could planning make some comments with respect to this application, Ms. King?
Nope, no comments there. Just gotta make sure we got that amendment, and if not, they're gonna come back and see us after they go to building permits. So that's
Okay.
the only comment.
We got her in.
Perfect.
Okay, Ms. McLean, do you have any questions?
No.
Okay, Ms. Wright? No. Mr. Barrett? No questions? Okay, I'd like to ask the public if they've got any comments to make. Is there anyone online that would like to make some comments about this application?
No, there's not, Mr. Chair.
Okay, anyone in-house would like to comment? No one in-house? Okay. All right, sir, I'd like to ask Mr. Merrick, if you'd like to wrap up and give us the final word.
Other than saying that we love the community, we actually really want to help preserve the sort of look and nature of the homes. And a neighbor of mine who's the head of the Beaverbrook committee is looking for heritage status. So we really just want to show some love to the house and, where possible, modernize them in a very minimal, less impactful way, but also make them a bit more usable in 2026. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Panel, would you like to reserve on this application? Please raise your hands. So this application, sir, will be reserved, and you will receive our written confirmation of our decision within 10 days.
Great,
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, our next application that we'd like to hear today has to do with item number 10, 587 Sherbourne. Mr. Scott Puttycombe, are you available? Mr. Puttycombe? Yep. There you go. Please state your name and your address.
I'm Scott Puttycombe. I live at 46 Marlborough Avenue in Ottawa.
Okay. Would you like to make a brief presentation about your application?
I haven't, you have it in your notes. When I came today, I was, until the last minute, thought this was a fast track thing, so I don't really have a presentation. It looked like it was all done. But in short, the purpose of the minor variance is to allow for a small addition in the inside of the L of a corner lot house for the purpose of accessibility. We're putting in an elevator to provide accessibility for the owner of the home and let her have access to her basement, main floor. The house is a bungalow. We are extending out only as much as we need to put the elevator, the entryway from the grade level, and an upper landing area with a patio door going out to a deck. There was a question before about the height of the deck. It's the deck isn't part of the minor variance. We don't need it, the variance for that, but it's at the same height as the landing.
It's the back door?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I wanted.
So it's actually, sorry, it's 3 inches higher because there's this little ramp up, like just so that it's the same level as the floor of the rest of the home.
Would it be possible, because that's my family room window, that they could put a privacy screen at the end of the deck until the hedge keeps growing?
Possibly, I can't answer
No,
on
I
behalf of
realize
the.
that, but I'm just saying that was my only request, that I don't want them looking into my family room window. If they might, for now, put a privacy lattice work or something.
Or something like that.
Deck.
I can
Keeps growing.
talk to the owner about that. I don't know if that's
Wonderful
required
neighbor.
for.
I'm sure I think you're going to be able to work it out.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure we are.
Okay.
That was my only,
Yeah.
because I didn't see the blueprints.
Yeah.
To see the elevation of the deck and everything.
Mhm.
I totally understand the elevator. They're wonderful, as you said, the neighbor. That will be so much easier.
Okay.
And the other thing was, is she gonna have an outside ramp on the deck?
No.
No, okay.
No.
That was my only two concerns.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, so have you got anything more you'd like to talk to us about?
No, it's
Okay.
it's pretty straightforward unless you have questions.
Okay, I'll ask the panel if they have some questions. Ms. McLean, do you have any questions for the applicant?
No.
Ms. Wright?
No, I don't.
Mr. Barrett? Okay. I'd like to ask Planning Services, Mr. Geldart, if you've got any comments to make about this application?
No comments, but happy to answer any questions related to the planning applications.
Thank you. Ms. McLean, any questions for
No.
planning?
No.
Ms. Wright?
No.
Mr. Barrett? Okay. And anyone from the public would like to make a presentation? Anybody in-house? Anyone remote? No, no one remote. Okay, I'd like to ask the panel if they would like to reserve on this application. All those in favor, please raise your hands. Your application will be reserved, sir, and we'll give you our written response in 10 days.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Our next item up for discussion is item number 11, having to do with 51 St. Clair. I'm looking for Charlene Zandbelt. Charlene Zandbelt, are you available?
They're online, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Ms. Zanbelt, I can't see you or hear you. I think you're muted or something because we don't hear anything.
There I am. Can you hear
There
me
you
now?
are. We can hear you now.
Let's see if I can get this video to go as well. Whoops.
Well, okay,
All right.
perfect.
Okay.
Okay, so would you like to state your name and your address, please?
Yes, Charlene Zanvelt, 435 Queen Street, Winchester, Ontario.
And would you like to make a brief presentation about your application today?
Sure. So we are asking to sever this property at 51 St. Clair into 2 lots in order to build 2 single-family homes. Each of the homes will have an accessory dwelling in the basement. With the application, we require 3 variances. Both lots require a variance for lot width and lot area. And the second lot, the retained lot, also requires a variance for the exterior side yard reduction. I think that pretty much explains it all. We have been through a few back and forths with the forestry department to address their concerns for the trees, and I think we have addressed all of their concerns with some conditions.
Okay, that's great. Thank you. And I believe there's an amendment to the requested variances, and you would like to delete, or the planning department would like to delete variance C for increased lot coverage,
That's
correct?
We are within the required lot coverage.
Okay, and does planning agree with that?
Yes, planning staff agree.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Zanbelt, do you, are you aware of the conditions if this application is to be approved today?
I am. Yes, and I agree with them.
those? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Now I'd like to ask the panel if they've got any questions for the applicant, Mr. Barrett.
No, I don't.
Ms. Wright?
I do. I'm just curious if any thought has been given to how garbage is going to be, because you do have an accessory dwelling unit, how garbage is going to be dealt with on the site. I don't see anything on the site plan, but curious if what the intentions will be around that. I don't even know if by bylaw, if there's any bylaw requirements with respect to garbage for this type of development, so.
Okay, to be completely honest, I hadn't put any thought into it at all. There is a garage on site that we have a exterior door into that we could certainly provide access to for garbage containers.
Yeah, I get, and the reason why it came up was I think the door for the access to the accessory dwelling unit is on the opposite side from the door to the garage. So that's sort of why it came to my mind. So anyway, thank you. Maybe planning will address it if it's required. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wright. Ms. McLean, do you have any questions? No, okay, no questions from them. All right, moving to planning. I wondered if planning would please give us some comments about this application.
Happy to, Mr. Chair. So originally when our staff report was submitted to you, we raised concerns regarding the tree information report, specifically as it relates to tree number 1 and 2. There were concerns that not the driveway as much, but the grading around the driveway, as well as the services that proposed to be located underneath the driveway, would have a significant impact on tree number 2. We explored a few alternatives with their consultants, where there have been changes to the grading plan, as well as the location of the services, and which has satisfied forestry's initial concerns. And we are prepared to move forward with a no concerns report, or for supportive of this development, contingent on the conditions that are attached.
Thank you. And does the panel have any questions for planning services? Mr. Barrett? No, no. Ms. Wright?
Just to sort of go back to the idea of a rooming house that I think you were here for that whole discussion. the dwelling unit idea had to have maximum of 4 bedrooms. This one has, well, certainly 5 upstairs and then potentially 2 on the ground floor as well. What kind of definition is that? If it's not a dwelling unit, nor is it a rooming house, so is there anything to prevent anything like, where does the 4-unit dwelling unit come in compared to what's proposed here?
Just one moment. So there's, my understanding, when you look at the definitions for a dwelling unit, it's 4 or so bedrooms, but when you have more than 4 bedrooms, but less than 8, it's considered an oversized dwelling unit by building code services.
Okay, and that's obviously permitted and, okay,
Correct, yes.
okay, perfect, thank you.
Ms. McLean, do you have any questions for planning? Okay. I'd like to see if there's anyone from the public who would like to make some comments. Anybody in-house to make some comments about this application? Is there anyone online that'd like to make some comments about this application?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Ms. Zandbelt, I'd like to leave it up to you now to wrap up and give the final word.
Okay, don't have too much more to say other than I certainly will put some thought into the garbage. That's a good point. And we'll try to find a logical spot for that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, panel, would you like to reserve on this application? If so, please raise your hands. This application will be reserved and we will send you a written confirmation of our decision within 10 days. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, our next applications are items number 12 and 13. We'll hear those both together. And there are 2 agents involved in this application. One is Eric Bays and the other one is Serene Chassade. Hi. So you'll need to press the little buttons there, make your microphone screen. So please state your name and tell us where you live.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. My name is Serene Shahzadeh, and I'm one of the applicants, one of the agents for the application, and I'll be presenting the application today.
Okay, please go ahead. Oh, sorry, go
We
ahead.
submitted
Bays.
the slide.
My name is Eric Bays. I'm a senior planner with Stantec Consulting. Both of us are with Stantec. Address is 1331 Clyde Avenue.
Okay, please proceed.
All right. So the site 1495 Heron Road is owned by CLC and has previously gone through a master planning exercise to envision future redevelopment on the site, and that resulted in a zoning bylaw amendment that was approved by the city that established mixed-use zones on the site and also established an institutional zone on the site for a school. Next slide, please. So the applications today include both 1495 Heron Road CLC's lands as well as OCSB's lands to the south to ultimately establish 3 separate parcels. Next slide, please. The first parcel is a mixed-use parcel for CLC, and then the next 2 parcels are both institutional parcels for OCSB and a new school site for SEPIO. These applications will also establish easements for the future private roadway that provides access to the 3 sites, and also easements for private storm and sanitary sewers. So to create this lot fabric, applications for consent, lot line adjustment, and minor variance have been submitted. Next slide, please. So the first series of applications includes a transfer of lands from OCSB to CLC as shown in red. And part of the transferred lands will form part of the future roadway. So with that red parcel, there's that hatched area that will be part of the future private road. So easements are to be established on them for access for the remainder of the parcels. Also part of the application is to establish easements for private sanitary and stormwater pipes on the property. A minor variance is associated with these applications to reduce the interior side yard to 3.8 meters from 7.5. This results because of the new lot line that is proposed. So the 3.8 meters is sufficient frontage on the private street where this effectively functions as the front yard setback. This reduced setback allows the building to function to frame the street in a more urban built form while maintaining enough space and distance between the building and the future private roadway. Next slide, please. So the next application is for consent to transfer land from CLC to OCSB as shown in the red area. This application is also to establish the easement on CLC land for the future private road in favor of the remainder of the properties for access. And that's showed in the red hatched over CLC's properties. Next slide, please. The last series of applications is for consent and minor variance. The consent is to create a new institutional lot for a school site for SEPIO and to establish easements for the continuation of the private road. The minor variance is required to permit the severance of the land, although the proposed lot doesn't currently abut or have frontage on a public street. The requested minor variances will help create a school site in an urban area on an appropriately zoned lot that was zoned and set up as part of the master planning exercise on 1495 Heron Road with the zoning bylaw amendment. This new proposed school site will also be near neighborhood amenities and transit. The proposed lot will have sufficient frontage on the private road when that is extended, and the site won't be developed until such time that a site plan control application is submitted and approved and the road is extended. Next slide, please. So the applications will help create this parcel fabric for the future development on the 3 parcels, where the lot line adjustments are to ensure that each site has sufficient lot area and frontage for their needs, and to help establish the layout and easements for the future private roadway across CLC's land, as well as the consent to establish the new parcel, and the minor variances to bring all the proposed lots and existing development into compliance with the zoning bylaw and to help set up the parcel fabric for future development. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would like to just first address some housekeeping issues having to do with the revised wording for condition number 2. So I'll read it out to you and I'll highlight the change in just a second. Should the widening be encumbered, then the owner shall remove the encumbrance and provide proof of its removal. Here's where the change comes. Or receive the necessary permissions to permit the encumbrance to the satisfaction of the manager of development review. Do you agree with that change to wording on condition number 2?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, we have no concerns with that adjustment.
Okay, great. Are you aware of the conditions should this application be approved? Number 12, application number 12.
Yes, and we've spoken with the owners of the property and they've agreed to the conditions.
Perfect, thank you. Now on to application number 13. The amendments are having to do with areas. With respect to file number B00304, the area is now to be 12954.5 square meters, where it was 12183 square meters. Do you agree with that one?
Yes.
And file number B00305, it is now 3243 square meters, where it was 3180.3 square meters. Do you agree with that one?
I do, Mr. Chair.
Great. And again, there are conditions to this application. Are you aware of those conditions?
We are, Mr. Chair, and we have no concerns, including the adjustments to condition 2, which are identical to that of item 12.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now I'd like to ask the panel if they have any questions for the applicant, Mr. Barrett. I can come back to you. Ms. Wright, do you have any questions? Ms. McLean?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On application B 303, the separate parts are shown or in the columns on the notice are saying 9, 11, 15, and 19. And I'm questioning what 19 is and why it's being conveyed.
Through you, it's something that as we were developing this, we realized. So what it is it's a site triangle that is at what will be the intersection of the main portion of that private street and Heron Road. So if I'm not sure, are you asking where it is on the property or what its function is?
I guess what its function is, and it's being conveyed, we have it down as vacant land to be merged with 1495.
That's correct. So currently it's owned by the Ottawa Catholic School Board. The current property line, we have it on one of our earlier slides. I think it was slide 2. It's that triangle is currently owned by the school board. However, it will be CLC who is responsible for, in partnership potentially with other parties, for the construction of that private street. So from our perspective, it's more orderly to have part 19, which would form part of that site triangle, to be owned by CLC with an easement in favor of the school board, versus the inverse.
It's very irregular. It's creating a very irregular lot line at that point.
So I think the key, the item, one of the things that may make it seem more reasonable is that the parts that run along parallel to Heron Road are actually part of a road widening. So even though that one little triangle seems to jut out into OCSB's land holdings, the part 20, 21 and 22 to the south will actually be part of the right of way.
And 19 will be, you're saying it's going to be owned by CLC?
It will, yes. So it would form part of the private street that would be constructed there.
Okay. And then I guess my other question is, can you explain why you can't give frontage to the proposed new lot that you're creating for the school?
So the proposal in this circumstance is to construct a private street. So there is a master plan exercise that we began with Canada Lands back in 2002 in order to produce a method that the site could be redeveloped with a combination of different uses and trying to balance a number of different challenges we were coming across for the site. The buildings at the core are of heritage value and warrant some protection. There was a need to transition down to the more established neighborhoods to the east. There was also recognition that bus rapid transits intended for along Heron Road. So this master plan was intended to try and combine mixed use areas, adaptive reuse of these historical spaces, and mid-rise development across the site. And through that exercise, CLC proactively reached out to other school boards, and CPO showed interest in potentially establishing an elementary school at that time. This is really the continuation of that exercise. At this point in time, Canada Lands is working under the larger banner of Canada Builds Homes to try and bring the balance of their property into a position where it could be developed for a combination of affordable housing and other uses, depending on which parties may be interested in partnering with them. What this proposal ultimately is at this time is to try and assemble the parcel and make sure that the ownership lines are clear so that it's clear for whoever is going to partner with Canada Lands going forward. So the proposal is for a private street. At this time, it provides more flexibility in terms of the design constraints. However, CLC still intends to develop the property consistently with the master plan, which is why you see a 22-meter wide easement that would represent the private street. I may have spoken, I realize that was a lot. I may have spoken around what your core question might have been.
Well, I think when you ask for a variance for exempting a bylaw requirement for no frontage on a public street, there's a higher threshold. And I'm not understanding if you're putting a school at the back there, are you gonna have school buses and the public dropping their children off, and you have that at the front school as well? And you're doing this all on a private road, and I guess I'll have a question for planning as well on that, but the exemption from a bylaw requirement to have frontage, I'm just trying to understand why you can't provide that frontage.
Yeah, so ultimately it's, we went through the master planning exercise, and it's that northwest corner that was kind of determined to be the best location on this property for the school site. If you look at the other sections of the property, the area along Heron Road is up against an arterial road, and there's challenges with things like bus movements, pickup, drop-offs. Schools generally prefer being on local or collector roads. The northwest corner was an option, but would run into the same issue of it being not fronting up onto Heron Road, and Heron Road's really our only public street here. So in terms of the private street, it's a method that is used in a number of different places in the city for multi-phase development. There are examples of institutional uses that do front onto private streets, and ultimately it's the access is determined through something like a joint use maintenance agreement between the different parties. I would also say that at this point in time, the intent is that this would be a private street, and we believe that there's the framework and the rationale for putting that forward as a method of access. But the entire street has the width of this easement, and the master plan was designed that could potentially be designed as a public street and used as or made into a public street in the future. But we believe that there's the requested variances and the proposed land division is orderly development, meets the 4 tests, and ultimately, were this to be a public street, it would warrant something like a plan of subdivision or a series of other applications. And we took a look through the Planning Act. We don't believe that, or we believe that we're addressing the majority or all of the concerns that would typically be considered through a plan of subdivision process.
Thank you. And I guess my final question, was this thought about when you did the zoning bylaw amendment about requesting a parcel with no frontage, or it wasn't part of the zoning bylaw amendment back in 2022, you said, or?
So yeah, I think that's a fair question in terms of, you're correct. We went through a zoning amendment in 2024 in order to rezone the site from a series of, or from the institutional zone in place at that time to the mixed use zones and the open space zones that you see today. I think at that time, there was still some question about precisely where would these property lines be, as well as how land might be reconfigured. The CLC was still in discussions with OCSB, was still in discussions with the school board. So part of the reason why when you look at the zoning on site, it has an institutional combined with an open space zone, is that there was discussions about, is the school board in fact committed to this new parcel? And CLC wanted to make sure that while we had the land uses permitted and the type of built form permitted by the zoning bylaw, we weren't quite sure where each one of these lines was going to be. And we thought that it would be most expedient to provide the community and provide our client with the comfort that the types of uses, the general type of built form is permitted by the bylaw, as well as the heritage related provisions that the city was seeking, recognizing that there may be, once more detail, once more information had been confirmed, we had the risk that we may need to request particular permissions from the committee.
Thank you. I'll have some questions for planning. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barrett, did you want to make any comments?
Just comment on the private road, will there be a cul-de-sac at the end of the road for turning around? Is that what's intended, or?
So at this time, we don't have an easement that would propose that. That would be something, so whether an actual designed turnaround circle is required, there's a number of different criteria for that. I think there's one of two options that would be available. One would be the establishment of something on the lines of a blanket easement over CLC's remaining land holdings for an interim turnaround circle until the balance of this street is completed. The other option would be for the design of the school site to include some sort of parking arrangement where vehicles would be able to turn around within that. I think both of those circumstances, there is no site plan for the school right now. So both of those items would need to be confirmed through the site plan process, where there would be people who would specialize in the emergency services component of it, the building code component as well, about what type of access requirements might be needed.
Thank you. Okay, now we'd like to move on to planning services. Mr. Ireland, are you available?
Yes, I'm available.
Would you like to make some comments about today's application?
I don't have any additional comments, but I'll wait for questions, I think.
Okay. Ms. McLean, do you have any questions for planning services?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Ireland, I wonder if you have given any thoughts to this being premature, or in my mind, I'm feeling that this application may be premature in that there has to be site plan approvals given later on, and we're talking about schools and school buses and a private road and no frontage for a landlocked parcel of land. So can you just expand on that a bit for me? Thank you.
Certainly. So I don't think it's premature. It's a little bit of an unusual situation. Obviously, individual dwellings often get or occasionally get access through an easement, and this is obviously a school with more traffic. There was a subdivision application filed a couple of years ago, which would have created a public street to the school, but CLC have decided not to pursue the plan of subdivision route, so that they've obviously applied for this. A couple of factors which make me more supportive of it. The fact that it's CLC who own the land which the private street will be on, the fact that they now propose to develop the remaining of the land as one. Their operating model in the past has been to subdivide and sell off development lots to developers, but I understand Build Canada Homes is more interested in keeping the whole parcel, owning the land, owning the buildings, and it being rental housing. So there will be control over that whole parcel, including the private street. And the design of that easement or that private street can be done through two things. One would be the site plan application I'm talking about for the CLC lands. And also we have a condition there for us, the city staff, to review the easement documents. We don't often require that, but this way we can ensure that the easement that is provided is sufficient to work for school access.
Okay, and so it's your understanding that, excuse me, CLC will continue to own the lands. I understood that they sort of developed the lands and then sold them as a development proposal, but that's not what I'm hearing.
That's right. So Eric can speak to this as well, but my understanding is, yes, that's exactly what CLC used to do. But with this project, I believe they intend to retain ownership of the lands. A developer will build the buildings, but CLC will own them and own the lands.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Wright, do you have any questions for? Okay, Mr. Barrett? No. Okay, thank you. All right, so now I'd like to ask the members of the public. We have two people that are remote that would like to speak to this application. First one is Miro Vala, and he's with, or she's with, the Ottawa Catholic School Board.
They're online, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Miravala, are you available?
Yes, I am. I'm just going to turn this on.
Gotcha. You're on.
Yeah, I guess the camera's just starting. Oh.
If you'd like to state your name and your address, sir.
Okay, my name is Miro Bala. I'm with the Ottawa Catholic District School Board. I'm the Superintendent of Planning and Facilities here at our Central Board Office at 570 West Hunt Club. And I'm certainly here supporting the application with Canada Lands Company around I guess the transfers of a variety of parcels and the development of a road for this property. I think much of the submissions there, I think for us, what is important is that with the development of and reuse of the existing buildings, the current infrastructures that tied into our buildings are being decommissioned, and it creates a real hardship for our board to continue operations with, especially one of the buildings. And so that I think this is for us on our part, the net result is, I think, the benefit to the school that's currently being used by the CEPO, and for us and for the future for development as the communities continue to grow in some areas. So this works well for us. We are in support of the application, and and if they have any questions as to what some of the specifics for our school board, certainly I'd be happy to answer those.
Thank you. Ms. McLean, do you have any questions for the public?
No.
Okay, Ms. Wright? No. Mr. Barrett? No. Okay, thank you, Mr. Vella. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Next up is Alexandra Cleve with the Canada Lands Corporation, and I believe they're remote as well.
I'm here, but
I
don't need to speak.
You don't need to speak? Okay, well, thank you very much for coming down. Okay, so Mr. Bays or Ms. Shahzadeh, if you would like to make the final wrap up of your application, that'd be great.
Just would like to thank the committee for their consideration. I've been working on this project for a little over 4 years, and we went through the initial concept development master planning exercise, and there's something that I've found as a planner very satisfying, be able to take that master plan and then draw out those same lines to actually make these physical boundaries, and to be able to translate that exercise into what we're here speaking to today. It's one little piece at a time, but I think it really helps move this entire project forward and the core vision that was put forward previously. I'd also like to thank city staff and committee staff for their support and their insight, and helping us to kind of assemble these applications, figure out how many there needed to be, confirming things like variances, discussing what conditions would need to be done in order to capture the city and the committee's interests. So thank you all.
Thank you. All right, panel, would you like to reserve on this application? If you do, please raise your hands. Your application will be reserved, and we'll let you know in 10 days in writing what our decision is. Thank you very much. I believe that concludes our hearing for today. Thank you all very much for your input. See you in a couple of weeks.